Hey, Cowboys Nation, Cowboys fans everywhere, how's it going? This is your host, Corey Stevens, for Drinking with the Boys podcast. We are so happy you're here with us. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to get to. That's what I meant to say. Cowboys had their first preseason game. We're going to cover that. We got some guests lined up. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. I'm going to give you a look around the NFL. Some of the other teams the Cowboys are about to face, other teams within the division, how they're doing. And then, obviously, since it's Drinking with the Boys, we got to talk a little bit about the beer, the beer scene in North Texas, some of the news from the other day. That's what we got in the books. Thanks for joining. Obviously, I'm going live on Periscope on Twitter and recording right now for the episode. Got to listen to myself talk. That's what I do. So let's get right to it. Cowboys preseason game 1. The result of it is a loss, 24-1. We played the 49ers, obviously, in San Francisco. JK, Santa Clara, definitely not San Francisco. So we had a lead going into halftime. We had a lead in the third quarter. So actually, the story of the game was definitely Cowboy-centric. First drive of the game, you had Dak Prescott take the team 10 plays, 75 yards. That's a good start. Zeke Elliott was not suited up. Sean Lee was not suited up. Had a few absences like that. We don't need to see Zeke in a preseason game 1, right? Because Zeke knows how to run the ball, and every time you just take him, you go a little farther. We don't need him to get more carries in the preseason. We need his carries to be in the regular season and the playoffs because, the more games you play, that just shortens that running back's lifespan. We need Zeke with 350 touches. We need a bunch of carries from Zeke and probably 40. I want 40 receptions plus, a little bit more out of the backfield, etc. So he's going to be the focal point of their offense. We don't need to put some tread, take that tread off the tires in the preseason. So Dak Prescott looked good. First drive, 30-yard touchdown pass to his new favorite, Michael Gallup. Oh, yeah. There we go. Gallup doesn't have the athleticism that absolutely jumps off the page. But you know what I bet he has? He's got some intelligence over there. He sees the safety in the middle of the field. He sees single coverage. He feels like he's going to get the ball. He goes. He hesitates just a little bit, turns his head. Defensive back hesitates just a little bit. He speeds right past him, right at the front pylon of the end zone. Boom. Dak delivers a well-placed ball, and we got Michael Gallup with his very first NFL touchdown, even though it's just preseason. But opening drive looked good. Dez Bryant, he was watching the Cowboys game. He made a few comments on Twitter. He's talking still about he's going to end up a Cleveland Brown. We'll see if that happens. One of the players that I really wanted to watch was Leighton Vander Esch. He's our rookie, first-round draft pick. I think it was pick 19, right, for the Cowboys. Looked good, looked bad. Let's just be real. I think the general consensus from Cowboys Nation on Twitter was that he was a little bit underwhelming. The scouting report out of college says, his athleticism is off the charts. He's got a lot of good traits. One of the things that he needs to work on is not getting caught up in blocks, not getting caught by those linemen, shoved down the field, or taken out of the play. Well, we did see a little bit of that. There was some, even when maybe he may have even made the tackle, he got sucked up a little off, a little out of position, got sucked up, maybe got caught on a block, pushed downfield. Maybe he chased the play down. He was in on the play, but it's not where you want to make it. You want to make it at the line of scrimmage, and he was making it 10 yards down the field. That happened a lot last year with Jalen Smith. I think Jalen Smith is going to be great this year. He looked fine in the preseason. Leighton Vander Esch needs to learn that, not getting sucked up into those blocks, how to shed those offensive linemen coming at him. He did have almost an interception. He laid out on the sideline. I think he even got the wind knocked out of him a little bit because he landed on the ball. But showed off a little bit of his pass coverage ability down the field. It wasn't a real pick, but it was pretty darn close to the sideline. So had a little bit that he showed flashes of athleticism, showed a need for improvement. But he's going to get a lot of work this preseason. I trust that he's a smart guy. He's going to work it out, and he's going to show some improvement. Bo Scarborough. Do you know Bo? Yeah. We got a 7th-round pick out of Alabama, Bo Scarborough. I've been telling you about him from day one. He's one of my favorites to make the team 3rd running back, right? So we got Rod Smith as our 2nd running back behind Zeke, Jalen's brother. Bo Scarborough is looking legit. 9 carries, 33 yards, touchdown, some real powerful running. I really liked what I saw. I think Bo Scarborough is going to be a great backup running back. Cowboys fans, you should be pleased. Some things that we need to look at. In the secondary, didn't really see quite what I wanted to see. There were some good times. There were some bad times. Jordan Lewis, he had either a miscommunication with the safety or he just got beat. He did get beat. Gave up a 50-yard pass. But, look, I don't know. Things happen. It's preseason. That's why we practice there. It's a live practice. That's what it's there for. I saw Anthony Brown play a little bit hesitant. He ended up getting a couple penalties. That afflicted him a lot last year. So secondary, a little bit disappointing. Didn't see much out of Xavier Woods, good or bad. One of our cornerbacks, Marqueston Huff, he did go down with a slight injury. Secondary, so didn't truly jump off the page anywhere for me. I wanted, they've had such a great training camp. They've showed up in practice. I wanted to see a little bit more, but that's why we got 4 preseason games. We don't just have 1. Connor Williams, 2nd-round pick, number 50 overall, left guard out of UT. Connor Williams looked solid. He did give up a sack. Again, we're talking preseason. It's all good. It's all good. I trust that he's going to be just fine on that offensive line from what we saw. And, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him for the next 4 weeks. We did have an injury to our backup, slight injury. I think it was a big toe injury. I don't know if it's going to be one of those that nags him all year. There's no way to know. But Marcus Martin, backup, he was out. But, really on the injury front, we're one of the least injured teams in the entire NFL, knock on wood, right? I mentioned Marqueston Huff. He's a backup, maybe 3rd or 4th string defensive back. He might have a chance to make, as a safety or something. I don't think it's real lasting. But so injuries in general, that's what you don't want to see any of that in preseason and training camp. We have avoided that. That's good news. You know who else is avoiding playing well? Jazz Green. This guy, I think it would just be best if we cut him. He's been given multitude of chances. He's still not performing. I think he needs a change of scenery or something because he was looking bad out there. One of the guys I was telling you watch for, Dorrance Armstrong, 4th-round pick out of Kansas, right? Defensive end. He had himself a lovely play. 1 highlight reel play, a bunch of solid play. He's wide left end, comes in, gets way out wide, ends up bull rushing that left tackle, and he didn't get the sack. Somehow the quarterback did escape. Pushed the tackle right into the quarterback. Quarterback got out of there, chased him back to the sideline, and that's the play that Leighton Vander Esch almost had that interception. So, Dorrance Armstrong, I'm looking for you the rest of the preseason. Keep showing us what you got because we're excited for you. We think we found a good one. 4th round. Good one for our defensive line. So the game overall, we took that lead into halftime. Dak looked good. Cooper Rush, looked fine. He needed to settle in a little bit. Mike White played the second half. Didn't really. None of them wowed. Last year Cooper Rush wowed us in the preseason. Nothing like that happened backup quarterback wise, but there was good stuff. Dalton Schultz, another 4th round pick. He's a guy I think has a good chance on this team. On the goal line play, we were at the 1. I think Bo Scarborough ended up getting in the end zone. It didn't work out as planned because over on the right, just right of the right tackle, Dalton Schultz really he looked tiny. So he's not the biggest guy. Maybe he needs to bulk up still some more. He really got washed down from those linebackers, safeties, whoever it was, wide defensive, linemen. That side of the line, the 2 tight ends over to the right, really got washed inside. They ran into Bo Scarborough. I think he ended up scoring, but he was kind of diving. The whole point was that he was going to jump over the pile. That part of the blocking was less than impressive. He didn't have a catch, I don't believe. There were other times when he sealed the edge to perfection. Looked like a great blocker. So a little inconsistency. That's what happens when you're young and inexperienced. The point is you get more and more consistent. So that's a look at the Cowboys. The 49ers, what do we see? We saw a little bit of Jimmy Garoppolo. We saw some defensive linemen getting in his face. They ended up winning the game in the 4th quarter. Nothing really flashed too much. I saw, solid play from Garoppolo. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit about what's coming up, guys. You don't want to just listen to me forever and ever on this podcast. So I got some guests lined up. You got Tanner, Justin, and Tyler working on appearances with all 3 of those guys. Real big Cowboys fans. Tyler, he does a Saints podcast. The Saints and the Cowboys. We shared coaches. We gave them Sean Payton before the Texans showed up on the scene. We were the 2 closest teams in the South. So Saints and Cowboys do play this season. I think it's late October, mid-November maybe. And we want to hook up with Tyler. He does a Saints podcast. Get him on the show. Get on that show. It'll be a good time. Some real big Cowboys fans who frequent the Cowboys subreddit. Going to get some of those on as guests. So stay tuned. What's gonna come down. It's gonna be good content. We're gonna have some good conversations. So it wouldn't be drinking with the boys if we weren't drinking beer. If you're watching here on Twitter, Periscope, you'd see, boom, what am I drinking today? We got some Bombshell Blonde, Southern Star. I just had to check, make sure I didn't say that wrong. Southern Star Brewery out of Conroe, Texas. This has been one of my favorites for like 6 years, 7 years. Look, I've only been drinking for 7 years. I didn't drink before I was 21. A little something about me. But no, I remember buying this way back in college. On their cans, look at that. Right up there it says, first to can in Texas. So they were making good beer in cans. They've been doing it for years. Right out of, South Texas, Conroe, East Texas, wherever you want to call it. No, but they're blonde. This is a really good blonde ale. Tiny bit, nicely balanced. I would say nicely balanced on the maltiness and hoppiness. One of the, really goes down really easy. One of the things that they do is they don't pasteurize, right? They don't filter their beer out and they don't pasteurize it. So, I guess that would be a concern for some of you, maybe. But no, it's a good brewery. They've got a really good, I think it's a Buried Hatchet Stout that they do. So they make some good beers. They're found a lot of places. I got it up here in Dallas. But yeah, Bombshell Blonde is a good light beer. Good craft light beer. If you wanna something to drink when you're watching the Cowboys, right, or watching the NFL in general. Thursday when the Cowboys and 49ers were playing. Before that, my friend and I went out to a couple breweries. One of the breweries in Dallas, over in the brewery district, kind of near Irving Boulevard, West Dallas area. One that's been my favorite for a while is Pegasus City Brewing Company. They started last April. So this April, they had a crawfish boil for their 1-year anniversary. That was good times there. They started last April. I started a job last April and got to know one of the founders behind Pegasus City Brewing Company, Chris. He's an awesome dude. Everyone who works there that I've interacted with has been a real good dude. Their beers, they want to make porch ales, good beers for sitting on a porch, watching some football, having a good time, whatever you want to do. Pegasus City is a good brewery to check out. We then went to Community. Community is a little bit larger. Community, definitely a good brewery in Dallas. So I mentioned, what's going on in the beer scene in North Texas. Definitely wanted to give you a little heads up on those two guys. Let's look around the NFL. The Cowboys division, let's start there. Why not? Right ahead of Connor Williams, pick 50 in the second round this year's NFL draft. Dallas Goedert, Goedert. He's a tight end. I think it was out of Western or Eastern Michigan. I have to look that up again. Remember, Jason Witten, the news came out that he was going to retire after the end of the first round. And so all of a sudden the Cowboys are picking second round and on. We're saying, we got to get a tight end. We don't have Jason Witten anymore. Right before the Cowboys pick, the Eagles pick a tight end that, I'm not convinced that the Cowboys would have chosen him because I think they were very, very happy to see someone who they had a high second-round grade, maybe even first-round grade on Connor Williams. And they wanted that solidity to solidify their offensive line. But anyway, right before in pick 49, the Eagles selected Dallas Goedert. We got to watch him preseason game 1. What happened? Big old night. I think he had like 60-something yards. I think he had a touchdown pass. So he looked pretty good. We're going to have to keep an eye out for him over on the Eagles. If you look at the Redskins, Cowboys obviously play the Redskins twice this year with division foe. Their defensive line, there was a huge weakness that they had. Sorry, guys. Huge weakness for the Redskins last year. One of the worst run defenses. They upgraded that. First round pick, I believe, was Deron Payne, defensive tackle out of Alabama. And then their 5th round pick was Tim Settle, Virginia Tech, I believe. This guy is a big old nose tackle who knows how to disrupt the game. So Redskins fans on Twitter were very, very happy. Tim Settle proving that he's going to be a solid starter in this league at a minimum. Some people are already thinking that he's going to be a stud. So the Redskins defensive line, they didn't want to get run all over again by Zeke Elliott and co. from Dallas, right? So they tried to upgrade that. It looks like they were successful. Other Redskins news, they picked, Darius Geis, running back out of LSU. Bad news. There was some funniness. There was some funny stuff going on in the draft, off the field stuff that was affecting his draft stock. Well, anyway, the Redskins drafted him. Very first preseason game, he goes down with an MCL and ACL injury. I think torn ACL, strained MCL. Not good. So he's out for the season. Redskins draft pick set back by injury in the first preseason game. So bad news on that front, right? Another Redskins draft pick was Trey Quin. Personal connection with Trey Quin. I'll get to that sometime. Maybe we'll have him on the show. He was the very last pick of the NFL draft out of SMU, also out of LSU first. He transferred to SMU. He was a very, very, very productive receiver of the likes of Cole Beasley, but more down the field speed. He Dude, he was coughing up blood and throwing up on the sideline. He got lit up. Shoulder pad right in the kidneys. Went over the middle. They were playing the Patriots. Redskins were. He did not return to the game. It looks like going forward he's going to be okay. That was good because it looked really rough. It was not a good-looking hit. If you go to the Giants, Saquon Barkley, I think, was only in for 6 plays. He had one really, really nice, actually his first touch of the game. He had a lovely run. I think he broke it for like 30, maybe 30 plus. You know, he got stalled a little bit, kept going, got it down, broke it outside, showed off why he was the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. The rest of those runs, he was only 4 carries for 4 yards, I think. Wasn't much impressive, but he showed flashes. So I definitely think Saquon Barkley is going to live up to his billing. That's all I got for the New York Giants. They played the Cleveland Browns, and it was like 20-10. I forget who. You know, the story was Baker Mayfield and Saquon Barkley, number 1 and number 2 picks. Not really the result. Let's look at who the Cowboys are playing next week. Is the Cincinnati Bengals. What do we got? They beat the Bears. That's all I've got. It's the Bengals. Nobody cares about the AFC North. We're the Cowboys. Third preseason game is going to be against Arizona Cardinals. They're playing San Diego tonight. The fourth preseason game is against the Texans. Deshaun Watson, he only played a tiny, tiny bit, mostly handoffs. You know, remember last year he tore his ACL. He was out for the entire year. I think the Cowboys play him preseason, play the Texans in game 4 of the preseason. Might see some Deshaun Watson there. We don't play the Texans in the regular season, though. Our first regular season game is at Carolina Panthers. You know, the big story there was actually more on the Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin comments. Kelvin Benjamin being with the Bills, and so that was their preseason matchup, and there was some pregame, you know, confrontation, walking away. You're going to talk to me like a man. I don't know. It did look like Cam Newton came over. He wanted to talk to Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin wasn't having any of that. He being like the star tight end and wide receiver for the Panthers. Well, you know, he didn't want to hear it. He made a comment in the media about how he wished he played for a team that had a more accurate quarterback. He would have had a better career. Really throwing shade on Cam Newton, but you know, hey, they got him to the Super Bowl. Like, don't throw shade like that. You know, what we did see from the Carolina Panthers, draft pick DJ Moore. If you listen to the podcast from last season on the draft, pre-draft, post-draft, we looked at DJ Moore, and that was one guy out of Maryland that I really thought would be a good choice for the Cowboys to pick at wide receiver. Well, he looks pretty damn good. Yeah. No, he was looking shifty. He beat a cornerback and came back to the ball on a deep ball that was underthrown. He was looking real good. I think he had 3 first downs, 4 catches for 75 yards. DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. I think they got a good one. So we're going to go up against that game 1 when the season starts. Let's see what else we got. Oh, you know who else we play? We play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Saints played. The Saints won, I believe. I don't know. Sorry. I look at those scores and they're just preseason and they don't matter, right? But no, we play the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. We play all the AFC South and the NFC South, right? So we played the Falcons, the Buccaneers, the Saints, Carolina. And then we played the AFC South. We had the Texans, the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Colts, who are definitely not a Southern team, but they're in the AFC South, whatever. The Jaguars did have 4 players, including their star running back out of LSU. Dang, I'm drawing a blank, but it'll come to me. 4 players who weren't on the field for the anthem. So Jaguars are still having some players definitely doing their anthem protest. Leonard Fournette. Yeah, he didn't really want to give up much of a comment post-game about it. But hey, it's preseason game 1, and Donald Trump is already tweeting about the anthem, and players are already protesting and either sitting out or kneeling or raised fist, etc., on the anthem. So that issue is definitely not going away. That's what it is in the NFL in 2018. All right, guys. I don't have a whole lot of battery left, so I got to stop this podcast. Or I can keep the podcast going, but I can't do the Periscope. So I'm going to keep enjoying this beer, Southern Star Brewery, Bombshell Blonde. It's a good one. Finish up this podcast. That's what I got on the podcast. Like I was saying, it's over on Twitter, simulcast, if you want to go check it out on Periscope. See me in the flesh. So I'm drinking a little bit of a Bombshell Blonde. That's a good one to do a show. Talk to you about the Cowboys. Talk to you a little bit about some of the teams in the division, teams we're about to face, some injury news, players that we wanted to see perform. That's all I've got for you today, guys. Like I said, pay attention because we're going to have some guests on the show. It's going to be good as always. We're going to try to book some real good guests. Really, explode this show, get it to take off. One of the ways that we can really get the show to take off is for you guys to like it on Facebook, maybe share it on Facebook, comment on Instagram if you got something to say, share it with me. I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message. Tweet at me on Twitter, DRNKN, the boys on Twitter is the handle. Drinking with the Boys, if you search that on Facebook and Instagram, you'll find it there. Where to find the podcast? That's drinkingwiththeboys.podbean.com, and you can find the podcast on iTunes, or that's in the Apple podcast app. You can find it on Spotify and all sorts of other little podcasting apps, right? We got a short and sweet episode for you. Thanks for listening in. One of the things that could really help is if you love the show, and I hope you do, because I'm giving you the best I got, go give us a review on iTunes. As always, thanks for listening. Keep drinking with the boys. Have yourself a cold one. Cowboys preseason game 2 against the Bengals is coming up in 1 week. This is Saturday. Coming up next Saturday. Should be a good one. I'm definitely going to be watching. I hope you will be too.